D4 Academy back here with another crazy video again. And today let me start that again. If you never seen my channel, welcome to my channel where we do daily body camera reaction videos daily. And if you like these videos, comment what you like and subscribe. Subscribe if you wanna see another video like this. Let's get into it.
New details are coming to light nearly 2 months after a badly decomposed body of a teenage girl was found in a Tesla belonging to viral artist David, whose real name is David Anthony Burke. The 20-year-old has been quiet since workers at a tow yard realized a horrific smell was coming from the trunk. And while investigators are remaining tight-lipped about 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez's death, a private investigator has uncovered many interesting pieces of information, including pill bottles found at a home where the singer had been living, that add even more layers to this mystery. I'm Anjanette Levy, and this is Crime Fix.
Bro, like, pill bottles with the smell, just everything. And like, y'all would wanna stay tuned to this video, because this video is a very entertaining video.
If you ever get hurt, you might need someone in your corner to fight for you, and Morgan & Morgan can do that. The firm has more than 1,000 lawyers on its team because they are big winners. They've recovered more than $25 billion for 500,000 clients. In the last few months, a client in Florida got $12 million after the insurance company offered just $350,000. In Pennsylvania, a client was awarded $26 million. That was 40 times the insurance company's $650,000 offer. Another client in PA got $29 million after being offered $500K. So even if you think your case is not worth millions and millions of dollars, why not start a claim and fight for what you deserve? Morgan & Morgan makes it really easy. You can start a claim in just 8 clicks on your cell phone. So if you're ever hurt, start a claim at forthepeople.com/crimefix or scan that QR code that you see right there on your screen. You know, people all around the world are following the David case out of Los Angeles. Back in September, the Texas native had been living in a luxury rental home in the swanky neighborhood of Hollywood Hills, getting ready to go on an international tour. But everything came crashing down back on September 8th. That's when workers at Hollywood Tow Yard realized that a horrific, disgusting smell was coming from a Tesla that had been impounded days earlier. The Tesla had been cited for staying parked in the same spot for too long and was eventually considered abandoned and towed away. Authorities would later discover that the Tesla was registered to David Anthony Burke. That, of course, is David.
They're gonna be in very big trouble when they investigate all this together, because, like, they're probably smelling a dead body. And if he got that, he's gonna go to jail at a young age. And she's really young, 14.
And I want to be clear, Los Angeles police have not named David as a suspect, at least not publicly. In fact, no one has been identified as a possible perpetrator. But the investigation is ongoing. In the meantime, David hired Blair Burke. She's a high-profile criminal defense attorney who's worked with the clients like Harvey Weinstein, Bruno Mars, Britney Spears, and Lindsay Lohan, among others. It took the medical examiner more than a week to identify the body in the trunk as 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. The LA Times reported the remains of a head and torso were inside a bag in the trunk. A statement from the medical examiner's office said in part, the decedent was found severely decomposed inside a vehicle. She appears to have been deceased inside the vehicle for an extended period of time before being found. An official cause and manner of death have not been released. For now, it's listed as deferred. The LAPD has not ruled out the possibility that this was an accidental death. It sounds like all options are currently on the table. In another statement, the LAPD said the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner has not yet determined the cause or manner of Ms. Rivas Hernandez's death. As such, it remains unclear whether there is any criminal culpability beyond the concealment of her body. Early reports suggested that Celeste's body was dismembered, but the medical examiner has only said her remains were in an advanced state of decomposition. You heard me read that statement earlier, and that Celeste had been dead in that vehicle for some time. But
she had to be dead in the vehicle. And like now he's gonna get charged with life because he had to kill her in that vehicle and just leave it abandoned. Out of nowhere, that's crazy. She's 14. Like, he's gonna be fighting out for a long time, and he's probably gonna get hit with the death penalty.
So many questions remain. Why abandon the car near the rental home? Just leaving it on the street to be impounded? Was somebody not thinking clearly? Celeste and David, they appear to have been connected. For example, a tattoo on Celeste's right index finger, which read, "Shh." It turns out that David has a very similar tattoo on his own hand. After news of Celeste's death spread like wildfire and how her body was found, David canceled his tour. And he went radio silent on social media, where he has millions of followers. He eventually moved out of the rental home, but not before LAPD came in and searched that property. According to LA Magazine, officers reportedly collected electronics, computers, and even searched the drains for traces of blood or tissue. The home's owner says he wasn't getting a lot of answers about whether the multi-million-dollar crime might be connected to something nefarious. So he hired private investigator Steve Fisher to dig into everything. We are going to speak with Steve Fisher in just a moment to find out the latest on what he's learned. One thing he told me, prescriptions for opiates were found at the house, but he told me he doesn't know who they were prescribed to. And he said he has no reason to believe they weren't there for anything other than a legitimate use. I want to be clear about that. But first, some backstory on how we got here and David's apparent connections to Celeste. The teen was apparently a chronic runaway, having been reported missing from Lake Elsinore, California, by her family several times. The latest report came in May of 2024 when she was just 13. Family members have since said that she had a boyfriend that they hadn't met. But guess what? His name was David. Despite the age difference, Celeste and David seemed to spend a lot of time together. She made appearances on David's social media and his Twitch streams. Others who spent time with the singer say they knew about Celeste, but didn't know she was so young. They apparently believed she was around 19 years old. 19, 13, 14.
The world doesn't cater to those born for big living. It can be exhausting. So we decided to do so.
Big difference. Earlier this month, a TMZ reporter asked LA County District Attorney Nathan Hochman about the case and its status. Hochman said, "It is currently under investigation. We don't discuss suspects or the points in a continuing investigation. When and if that case is presented to the DA's office and we make a decision on it, I'll make sure you are one of the first to know. A case has not been presented to our office for filing consideration." So to discuss the very latest in this case, I want to bring in Steve Fisher. He is a private investigator who works on missing persons cases, and he's involved in this case. He was actually hired to work this case by the person where David was living. It's near the area where the Tesla was found with poor Celeste's body in that front trunk. So Steve,
He's gonna have a lot of cases and he's gonna go to jail for a long time for messing with an underage girl, for killing a girl. He's probably gonna get life at a young age. At 19, messing with a 13-year-old. Come on, bro. You gotta do better than.
I saw your tweet over the weekend. Very interesting to me. What is the very latest? Because it sounds like you have some suspicions that maybe despite Celeste being reported missing at certain times by her family, potentially maybe they knew where she was, or they weren't informing the police at all times that, hey, she was at the house, they would see her at times, etc. So fill me in.
Yeah, so That's basically where my frustration comes from, is not filling the police in. That you file a missing persons report, that's put into NCIC database, which is an FBI database, and law enforcement is working on that case. And when you file that, you also have a responsibility that if you have contact with a missing person, whether it be electronically or in person or anything, that you have a responsibility to notify law enforcement about that. I've since learned that there's documented cases after that report was filed of her showing up at a graduation for her cousin. And I think it's safe to assume there was probably other family members at that graduation as well. She also showed up, we've seen the video that's been released of the apartment complex next door to her house, where she showed up in September, was arguing with people in that house. And there was another photo of her at some sort of family event. So it is frustrating that somebody didn't call law enforcement and say, hey, she has shown up here, because what they do is then law enforcement goes and they investigate that, and they see if there's a reason that CPS needs to be involved, or why the child is running away and what's going on, and to keep them safe.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm a parent.
Mm-hmm.
If my kid's not showing up at school, guess what? I get a phone call. My kid's not showing up at school for an extended period of time, I'm in big trouble with the law.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like a lot was going on here. A lot was falling through the cracks with Celeste. And is there any suspicion that the family potentially knew that she was hanging out with David?
Well, so I've had no communication with the family, just to be upfront.
Okay.
But it was reported right at the beginning, that one of the ways that an ID was done, or they thought that Celeste was the person that shrunk, was because another outlet had a conversation with the mother, and she said that she knew of a boyfriend named David. And there's also been images that have come forward on Reddit that show David in Lake Elsinore doing some sort of transaction with a kid. And then we have the teacher, somebody recording the teacher speaking about this, that Celeste was in his class and she had run away, and then she was picked up in the Hollywood Hills and brought back, then ran away again. I think that there's a strong possibility they knew. And it's important to realize that she's in, I think, 7th grade, maybe 8th. But I mean, this is a very young child, and you can't just let them drop out of school at 7th grade, to go live in the Hollywood Hills.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
No, she's a child.
Yeah.
She's a child.
Yeah.
You were hired, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, to investigate by the owner of the home where David was living. So are there any new details that you've been able to glean from your investigation as to what may have been going on in this home?
Yeah. So, one thing I want to be clear about is, I do have a scope on my, investigation. In other words, I'm not going outside of things that originated at the house or things that happened with the cars that were normally parked at the house. So I'm not going out and trying to solve this case. I'm not working side by side with the LAPD or stepping on their investigation. It's all contained to the owner wants to know what happened or didn't happen at his house, because he had no idea that David was even living there, because he wasn't on the lease, and much less Celeste.
I would just want to say, why you got a good career for yourself? Why would you mess with a girl that's underage? You're 19 and she's 13. He's gonna get crazy charges once they find this out too. But anyways, if you got some value from this channel, from this video, please subscribe to my new channel. I would love for you to come on this journey with me.